Colleen?
The meeting tonight is for the conduct of town business by the town board. The public is invited to participate at the items marked on the agenda, public comment. During that segment of the meeting, if you have a question or comment for the supervisor, please raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged. Please state your full name and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation.
Thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome.
I'd like to start the meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our men and women in blue who protect us. Thank you very much. I need a motion to amend the agenda to add Resolution 123 and 124.
Make a motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve minutes from the November 28, 2016 meeting.
I make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Authorized payment of bills for the amount of $128,309.46. Need a motion?
Hang on a second.
Howard, we need to make a motion to amend, to add approval of minutes from the public hearing for the local law, number 2, from 11/28, as well as the public hearing on 11/28 for the improvement of capital acquisition to receive the water from Newburgh. We have to add those to the minute approvals
Say
as
that?
well.
I'm sorry.
You have to say it again.
The motion, we have to motion to approve the minutes from the public hearing
Yeah.
as well as the other.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I move to add that to the agenda?
Yes.
Is that, okay.
Thank you very much.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So there's 2 local public hearings.
Thank you very much.
I will move to authorize the payment of bills.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. We've had so many public hearings lately. So in January the 9th, we're going to have another one, and then we're going to have 2, and then January 23rd. Okay, thank you for keeping us straight there, Colleen. Appreciate it. Is any comments on the agenda tonight? Any presentations tonight? Okay, reports of departments and boards. Give you my report. So I met with PBA representative and David Weiss, town labor lawyer, and Councilman Corcoran to discuss the new MOA. Attended public meeting for local waterfront revitalization plan on November 17th at the Marlborough Elementary School. Met with Ulster County Planning and Councilman Baker to assess consultants' response to RFP for the Route 9W corridor study. Conference call with Legislative Gerantine in reference to crosswalk and lighting needs in Milton Turnpike. Meeting with high school principals, staff, and students to discuss their involvement with the LWRP. Met with the Milton Landing Committee and Cynthia Behan to review comprehensive Milton Park plan. Attended public meeting for the LWRP on economic development on December the 1st at Marlborough Elementary. Meeting with DOT Representative Lee Zimmer to discuss issues with Chestnut Petroleum Project. Conference call with Chief Kokoza and town lawyer Rebecca Volk to finalize the new towing code. Conference call with Behan Planning to discuss the December 15th LWRP meeting. Councilman Baker and DOT Ulster County representative and I did interviews with applicants for the Ulster County Route 9W corridor study. This board is always very busy doing a lot of stuff, so I appreciate this board. And in case I forget, because I'm getting old, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah and a Merry Christmas. And We could do that at the end, too, if you could remind me, Ed?
I will remind you.
Okay.
Don't forget Kwanzaa.
Okay. Kwanzaa, I forgot. Okay, so the next, Tom, Building Inspector, Thomas Corcoran.
Building Department Monthly Report, November 2016. Request for Information 17, Building Extensions 3, Fire Inspections 3. Order to Remedy 11, Complaints 28, Firm Permits issued 23. Building Permits 14, 1 two-family, 2 furnaces, 1 demolition, 1 wood stove, 1 shed, 2 roofs, 1 sign, 4 additions, 1 carport. For estimated cost of building $355,297. Monthly receipts, request for information $1,700, building extensions $500, building permits $1,555.20, fire inspection fees $240, for a total monthly receipt of $3,995.20. Total gas usage 69 gallons, and total miles 966.
Any questions for Mr. Corcoran? Thank you, Tom, appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
Chief Kokoza.
Activity summary for the month of November 2016. Motor vehicle accidents, personal injuries 4, fatal 0, property damage 17, accidents not requiring report 10, for a total of 31 for the month. Summonses issued, vehicle and traffic 135, 5 parking violations. Complaint activity 324 blotter entries, 38 arrests. Telephone calls handled for the month 1,753. Overtime for payroll 2425, full-time dispatch overtime 8, part-time dispatch overtime 93, holidays. Mileage for the month 11,379 miles. I do not have fuel consumption as we're working on getting my access.
Any questions for the chief?
Jerry, at the end of the year here, we're getting close, obviously, to the end of the year. We're going to get a summary of the whole year for budget.
Well, we're not going to have another meeting in December, right?
Right, so
January's first meeting, I plan on having my allocation of how we're under budget. We
Right.
have yet to wait till Chris has the chance to reconcile everything. But again, my opinion is my numbers are way more accurate than Chris's anyway. That's my opinion.
Well, you should know.
So yeah, by
We'll find out.
next month, I should be able to tell you. I can tell you for sure that I'm under budget this year. I just
Yeah,
want to be able to
as
tell
I'm
you
looking, it looks
by
like-
how much.
It looks like we're going to be under budget, so.
And this is not even all the lines. I can tell you, we budgeted 43,000 for the new car when we only spent 38. So we're $5 grand right there. So I'm very happy with where we are in our budget for this year.
Give back, give back.
We'll figure out something to do with it.
I have an idea where we could spend it.
Yeah.
What happened with the
The speed trailer?
speed trailer?
been
So I
talking about
talked to
that.
Perry Sarles last week. Originally, they had told us that the speed trailer they wanted to get was way more expensive than they could afford at the end of this year's budget. So he redid his specs on what he wanted to get, and they found a company that came down in price. So they are doing an RFP to get that trailer done now. So that is moving forward. They plan on purchasing it, or at least paying for it by the end of the year, at which point the county will get with us and we'll figure out the legals about getting them what we committed to. So,
All right,
Thank you.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yes, sure.
Okay, I have the Highway Superintendent's Report, monthly report November 2016. Roads, we removed and replaced 36 stop signs with new high visibility signs throughout the town. We did catch basin and pipe and end patrols as needed. We spent a couple of days screening soil at Sands Avenue. Drainage, we had 4 or 5 men out vacuuming leaves out of the drainage ditches throughout the township. We excavated and cleaned out a ditch line on Bingham Road. Training, on 11/1, we had 2 men attend a CLRP training school on snow and ice procedures. Brush and weeds, we spent time trimming brush back throughout the town to improve sight vision. Fuel usage, gas 303.014 gallons, diesel 533.275 gallons. Gail Appler, Highway Superintendent.
Did Gail agree to do the drainage
He did.
district, right?
Yeah.
So that's all,
Yeah.
good. So he's gonna give us a number, or,
Actually, the thing
or
that,
Pat?
what happened was that he wanted Cindy Hilbert to map out each drainage district, and he wants to put a sign on exactly the name of the drainage district, so we gave that all to him.
Okay.
And I think he's satisfied with that, and haven't heard anything since.
Question?
Yes,
That's good news.
you want to come up to the podium?
That's right. I was just
Appreciate it.
I was gonna make a motion for that tonight.
Yeah, I told him.
That people gotta stop calling out from the audience, because they can't see it on video.
Actually, I just have a question pertaining to the highway department. Who put the directional arrows on King Street?
The DOT.
They make a big difference for traffic backing up onto King Street onto 9W.
I'm glad you like them, Mike.
It's a definite improvement.
Thank you.
I also think that our traffic person there with the school district is doing a much better job, too. We have a new person doing that, and he's being trained from the beginning, and I've noticed, when I leave in the morning, it's like night and day from when it was before.
It all helps. I mean, anything that can be done to alleviate traffic on 9W,
doing
whether
a
it's
good
the
job.
arrows,
Oh, he is.
having people utilize Bloom Street, South Street, and
Yeah.
Du Bois and Birdsall. I mean, anything like that to get traffic off of 9W and away from Western Avenue, unless you're conducting business there, it makes a tremendous amount of difference, especially in the evenings.
Yep. Appreciate it, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you. Charles?
Good evening. Monthly
evening.
report for November. Our water consumption totaled 12.8 million gallons. That is a daily usage of 429,000 a day. Compared to last month, which was 14.7 gallons for the month, and our daily usage was 473,000. Compared to a year ago, which was 14.5 million gallons for the month, which is a daily usage of 467,000 for the day. Summary for the month. We repaired service curb boxes on Church Street. We finished flushing hydrants. We repaired hydrants on Western Avenue and Milton Turnpike. Valves, we performed maintenance on our pressure reducing pits throughout the towns and the storage tanks. Curb boxes, we had to repair curb boxes on Grant Street and South Road. We had to do our quarterly HAAs and THM test. We also had our annual health department inspection. And we also changed the hot water tank at the Tomvac building. Service line inspections 1, 4 closings, markouts 20, gallons of gas used 190, and the mileage for the month was 1250.
Thanks for doing that at installing that hot water heater at Tomback. Appreciate it. Save the taxpayers some money there. Any
I got a question.
question,
Charlie,
Charles?
you had sent out on December 1st the notice about, because there was a hot discussion at our last meeting about the sewer hookups Ed had brought up,
Yes,
and I thank you for getting us this. So
Yeah.
it looks like there's, what,
Six.
6.
customers? And according to our code 11822, technically they're supposed to be
Hooked up.
hooked up. So,
We'll send them a letter.
I have to send them a letter.
Yep.
Let's do that.
I mean, that's my question. What's
Yeah.
the plan? We're gonna send
Send
those
them a
people
letter.
letters and...
I think those are the same 6 when I was home.
Yep, probably.
Yes,
I'm sure it's from
yes,
day one.
yes, it is.
It's probably the same ones from day one.
We talked about, exacting a charge if they don't comply.
They need
Try it.
pumping stations, most of those ones
Yeah, I
there.
see you say they need
Yeah.
pumping stations, right?
Well,
Which is expensive.
We'll start with the
Right,
letter.
but if they would have hooked up in the beginning, they would have got a free pumping station.
Yeah.
And they chose not to.
All right, well,
We'll enforce that. We'll send them a letter and tell them we're going to enforce it. Thank you very much, Charlie. Thanks for bringing that up.
Charlie, what's HAA? Okay, and that. You knew that. Okay.
We haven't had any problems yet, since the filtered water is usually from hydrocarbon, so it's organic.
Yep. Thanks.
Colleen?
Okay. Town Clerk Monthly Report for November 2016, Conservation 15 for $118.96, Dog Licenses 17 for $100, Water Services 1 for $375, Transfer Station permits, 1 for $30, punch cards, 26 for $1,485, marriage licenses, 1 for $1,750, building department fees, 1 for $7,799.40, fire fees, 1 for $480, accident reports, 12 for $60, certified copies, 5 for $180, FOIL requests, 1 for $2.25, for a grand total of $10,648.11.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Kelly. Fees, 26 punch cards.
So, Mr. Falcon sent his, let me read that, December the 12th, 2016, report on the Marlborough wastewater treatment plant for the month of November 2016. The average flow to the plant was 88,000 gallons per day. This was an average dry month and about 50% of the design capacity, which is 175,000 gallons per day. The process is working well, meeting Speedy's requirement. Milton wastewater treatment plant, the average flow to the Milton plant during November 2016 was 31,000 gallons per day. This is about 56% of design capacity, 55,000 gallons per day is the capacity. The process is working well, meeting Speedy's requirement. Overall, both wastewater treatment plants are in good working order. We have been busy getting all systems ready for winter operation. The collection system is being monitored and maintained by Charlie Maggio and the Water Department. Thank you, Mr. Falcon. I did not receive door control officers, Andrew McKee's report. The assessor, Cindy Hilbert, our office processed 24 real property transfers. We worked on 4 tax estimates. We have received approximately 50% of our enhanced star and aged exemptions renewal applications. Thank you, Cindy. How would you want to read Mr. Brand's?
Mr. Brand's Planning Board monthly report dated the 12/12.
You can read that, or you.
Okay. Planning Board monthly report, December 12th. As further clarification for town board members, the February 6th date for Chestnut Petroleum was necessitated in part due to the required reevaluation of the proposal required by the New York State Department of Transportation, the Ulster County Board of Health, and the Ulster County Planning Board, which meets on the first Wednesday of the month. At best, the Planning Board may have been able to meet on the third week of the month. I think he means January. However, we were unable to do so due to the holiday and the anticipated large public presence expected. Additionally, public hearings are held in the first meetings of the month. Therefore, the board, as well as the applicant's representative, did not feel the February 6th meeting date presented a significant hardship. Chris. And that,
I don't know if that last statement's true, but that's all right.
okay.
The applicant wasn't happy about that. Secondly, it's not the applicant's problem that you can't accommodate a meeting that should be held. So I think I'm going to talk about this a little, because this we talked about for 3 years, and it's nothing against any of the people on the planning board, but we seem to always have delays on the planning board when there's big projects. And I think this is part, and we've talked about this for 3-4 years since I've been on the board.
8 years.
It is problem with our planning board. I don't know what it is. I don't know how we resolve it, but it's a stigma out there, I think, that's out there, that when you come to the town of Marlborough Planning Board, things take too long. And again, it has nothing to do with any of the people. It might be just the projects that are coming in front of us. It's a lot of issues that come up, but you know, I really thought 2 months on top of the time they wait was quite a bit. But it's holiday time and stuff like that. It kind of screws up everything. But I just wanted to mention that.
Okay.
On that same note, I agree with you. When I first started, the biggest thing we were supposed to do is speed up the process, and I don't see that happening. We've had meetings, we had even a committee actually do a study
Yep.
booklet from...
CSC did.
Yeah. And obviously, whatever we're doing is not working, so I think we need to look into this and see if we can do something about it.
Well, I agree with Scott, and sometimes it's the circumstance, and sometimes I think we don't know the full story of what's happening. It's a combination maybe of the applicant and the planning board. It's a combination of the county planning. It's a combination of a lot of things that, come up to this process.
I totally
Sometimes
agree.
you can't, on a big project like this, which has challenges, and we all know the challenges,
I think,
I think we're moving along pretty good.
I
We've had a lot of problems with DOT,
Well,
and
Town of
other
Newburgh-
things. So, it's a combination of everything, so you really have to know the whole story. And if you did a finding of facts, I think the applicant actually went away for a while, and they were trying to find out what DOT wanted. So there's a lot of things involved. I'm not saying it's us, them, or what, but
I'm not either.
the whole thing is, maybe we should go back and look at the CAC and see what their recommendations are, and see if we could, like a lot line change, we definitely could do something about that. We don't need a lawyer and
I think we are, in some of those cases, like lot line changes, pretty speedy. In defense of the planning board and having been on the board for a number of years, this is a complicated development, complicated project. Some things outside of the control of the planning board. If you're sitting on the planning board, you want to make sure that you're making the right decision, so don't want to rush into things, so.
I don't think anybody wants anybody to rush. I think the whole idea is, here's the only thing I have a problem with is, when we're as a town, say to an applicant that we don't have a facility big enough to hold the meeting because you're gonna have a lot of people there, that I have a problem with. We have so many facilities here that besides this, we've moved our meetings to bigger facilities, same size facilities. That was never an option.
I think that was partly my problem. I thought that having it at the train station might have not been really suitable for that project, since it's under a lot of scrutiny, and I wanted as many people to come in, the pros and cons.
I think
So-
the Tomback
To be
building has
honest,
no
we had the
existence.
ZBA meeting upstairs when it was in full swing
Yeah.
to start with, so. if
And
you're-
I think the public hearing was a little different than with the ZBA.
And
I
if
think
the time, if it was a thing with court, so make your meeting 8 o'clock. Our planning board people gotta be a little more flexible. When we interviewed all these people, they said they were flexible, they were able to attend meetings. Now we got Steve Clark's gonna be away for 2, 3, he ain't gonna be here when this comes up again now.
But I think
So-
I think everybody knew that when going into it.
I know,
And we
it's
still
just-
hired him, right?
Yes, we did.
So-
I agree, it's just, I don't know,
And,
I don't know what
like
it
you
is.
said in the beginning, it
It's-
is, let's
it's-
take it
it's-
as,
it is what it
because
is.
of the holidays
The
that,
holidays hurt us, there's no doubt about it.
I just don't want to see other businesses looking at us that way, because we'll never entertain them. And you know how the word of mouth goes from one to the other. And I'll be honest with you, merchants I know in the town of Newburgh and different places, we do not have a good name among merchants. And if they have a choice between putting something in here or putting something in Highland or a neighboring town, they're going to go to the neighboring town. And I've heard that from business owners.
What does Highland do? Highland seems to get, or the town of Lloyd, they seem to get things done so quickly over there.
Yeah.
What's the difference that they do? You've been on the planning board.
I have no idea what they do. I wouldn't hold town of Newburgh up as
I
a
think you
prime
might-
I'm not
example.
saying town of
Right.
Newburgh, I'm just
The
saying town of Lloyd.
circumstances,
Town
right?
of Lloyd is close to us, that's what I'm
you
thinking.
got that 4-lane highway, you got a lot of different circumstances. I'm not,
Town
we
of
could
Newburgh.
probably go back and forth, talking about different animals here, Highland, Marlborough, Newburgh, so.
Well, town of Newburgh put that Dunkin' Donuts up already, that we started our project before theirs.
Yeah, but this is a much more complicated project.
Well,
It's not
you
only,
see where they put the Dunkin' Donuts? In Newburgh, on that corner?
I don't think they had to make a DOT determination on an extra lane,
But, we can have this conversation, I hear you also. Let's
Okay.
just work together to try to see if we could
Which is solid.
get things going, and
Oh, and one other thing,
this is a big project.
I had heard that at the end, I didn't hear it, but the end of the meeting, there was a suggestion about adding another type of fee or
No, actually,
something, or...
they had a meeting from this guy from the Ulster County Planning. He came down and he did a pitch on finding the facts.
Finding the facts, that was it.
And the thing was that they don't use a lawyer or they don't use an engineer, so to cover everything, they do the finding of facts, like from the beginning to the end. You know, this is what happened, this is what happened. We went out for bid, we went out for circulation in the newspaper, we did this, we did that. And so when somebody comes in, they say, well, what actually happened with that, the applicant, and what happened with that project, they pull out this findings of fact. But in our code, it says that we should okay things by resolution, and that's what they were asking Mr. Blast. Should we do it by resolution? And he thought that would be a good thing. So if it's going to happen, that I haven't heard from Chris or any of the town planning board members, if they wanted to do it.
Finding of facts on a resolution.
No, they're going to, Mr. Blast suggested not doing the finding of facts because we have a stenographer and we have an engineer, so that's not it. But in our code, it says it by resolution, and so they were looking at that.
By resolution...
In other words, by resolution that they okayed the project and it could be signed off on. Here's one of our planning boards. Hey,
So the
Joe, come on in.
So is this, I mean, I'm just worried about, because it was another thing that we brought up and the CAC brought up, is the fees that goes back to the applicant. Is this something that's going to add money to the applicant every time they come to the planning board?
I think it's new, and they're looking at their code, and they're looking to see what to do. So this is a thing that they was talking to Ron Blass about, so we'll see
Again,
where it comes.
We control codes, all right?
Yeah.
So
But if it's in our
my
code
opinion
by
is,
resolution,
I don't want to put something that's going to make it even another burden on the applicant to pay more monies to come back. Because what if it comes up for a resolution and they say no? Then they got to come back again and pay again.
no, I don't think that's true, but I don't know all the facts. So
Yeah, I mean, I just
the
wanna
whole
make sure
thing
it's
is that what I understood is it's in our code already, and so I have to look at that about the resolution. So let's take it from there, and whatever suggestion that Chris Brand makes to this board as far as codes, then we could look at it.
So, okay, I still have, so, obviously, people out there are probably totally confused at this point, but, so now I'm going to read the minutes of, Chris Brand's report on the meeting. This one held on November 21st, 2016. Attendees were Cindy Lanzetta, who was the acting chairperson, Manny Cauchi, Joe LaFaro, Ben Trapani, Joel Troncalli. The report for this meeting was supplied by board member Cindy Lanzetta, who chaired the meeting as I was unable to attend due to contractual obligations at work. This is Chris Brand's writing this. First item on the agenda was Tommy Corcoran III, 11 Ann's Orchard Road, Milton. A final lot line revision. The public hearing was opened and closed. There was no one from the public to address. The seeker review was completed and final approval was granted by motion. Second on the agenda was Chris Larkin, Nico is the name of the company, extension. The extension was discussed with the representatives of engineer and town planning board attorney Ron Blass, and motion was made and approved to extend the application until April 21st, 2017, contingent upon the applicant putting $500 in the escrow account to pay for the consultants who have been present for the extension request review. Asterisk, recommendations to town board. The planning board would like to counsel the town board that the present town code section 155-31-K should be amended to include verbiage that would require applicants to request an extension prior to expiration. In addition, the planning board recommends the town board set a fee for extensions as it requires additional work for the building department and the planning department staff. So it's something we have to discuss, I guess. Next deadline would be Friday, November 25th, 2016. Next scheduled meeting, Monday, December 5th, 2016. Now I'm going to read the minutes from the meeting on December 5th, 2016, which was held 7:30 p.m. at the Town Hall. Attendees were Chris Brand, Manny Cauchi, Steve Clark, Cindy Lanzetta, Joe LaFaro, Ben Trapani, Joel Trincali. The agenda, first on the agenda was approval of stenographic minutes for 11/7/16. The approval for the above minutes were approved unanimously. The second item on the agenda was what we just discussed, Chestnut Petroleum, 1417 Route 9W Marlborough, site plan, public hearing. Public hearing was opened, and the board heard from various members of the community in attendance. The applicant's attorney and technical representatives attempted to address many of the concerns raised, including runoff monitoring, review and evaluation, traffic, and others. The public hearing will be held open, and the planning board will continue to receive written comments for the proposed project. The board also heard the technical review from town engineer Patrick Hines. His comments stated that the applicant's plan should be revised to address previous review comments made by both the Marlborough Planning Board and the Ulster County Planning Board. Final approval from New York State DOT and the Ulster County Health Department are required for access to the site and septic system respectively. Updated traffic plans and reports were sent to the Planning Board's traffic consultant, Creighton Manning. Internal traffic flow and sidewalk considerations are areas the applicant will need to update and address. The engineer also requested the applicant update the Planning Board on recent meetings held with Central Hudson regarding the gas main located on the east side of Route 9W. The applicant will return on February 6, 2016. That's the meeting we were just discussing. The Planning Board fully expects to have received all the necessary documentation from all related agencies, including the necessitated second Ulster County Planning Board review and approvals from New York State DOT and Ulster County Board of Health by this time. The third item on the agenda was Luvera Properties, 1987 through 1989 Route 9W, Marlborough, a sketch site plan review. The applicant presented a proposed change of use for an existing structure to allow retail firearm sales. The applicant previously met with the Planning Board to discuss this subject. The plans also depicted a building addition on an existing facility on the property. Town engineer Patrick Hines requested the applicant submit plans to the Ulster County Health Department with regard to the subsurface sanitary sewer system serving the mixed uses on this site. Mr. Hines also recommended the evaluation of municipal water records with regard to capacity of the subsurface sanitary sewer disposal system. Lighting and proposed parking, including handicapped accessible spaces, need clarification, as this property is accessed by a state highway, Route 9W, New York State Department of Transportation, and the Ulster County Planning Board. Referrals are required. Dumpsters and tractor-trailer containers on site may require removal and/or screening. The applicant was further advised to complete and correct the environmental assessment form submitted. The next item on the list on the agenda was Kenneth Borchell, 555 Latintown Road, Marlborough. Sketch lot line revision. The applicant presented a proposed lot line revision to consolidate two existing tax parcels, which could result in one 3.68 plus or minus acre parcel. The tax map parcel number 3 does not meet current length to width requirements and would be difficult to develop. Preliminary approval was granted, and a public hearing was scheduled for Tuesday, January 3rd, 2016. Notes, certificates for participants of the November 10th, 2016 training have not been received. The board also discussed the possibility of incorporating findings of fact in future decisions. Town Planning Board Attorney Ron Blast recommended the board use determinations by resolution as an alternative to findings of fact, I guess. The board authorized Mr. Blast to prepare an exemplar resolution for the upcoming Borchell lot line revision for consideration. Next deadline, Friday, December 9th, 2016. Next scheduled meeting is Monday, December 19th, 2016. Respectively submitted, Chris Brand, Chairman, Town of Marlborough Planning Board.
Thank you.
So they did recommend Ron Blast to write that up?
Yeah, they recommended, they
So
wanted
who
to
pays
see
for
what
that?
it was. Yeah,
So again,
We're
we're
adding-
adding costs to the applicant to do something we already know is
think-
accurate according to the
I think
recording.
I have, like I said, I have to look at the code because the recommendation was it's in the code. Now, if it's not in the code, then we'll check it out. We'll make sure that if, I guess they wanted to see what it would be and have a feel for it. If it's that if it's proper to do it that way. Is that correct, Joe? The resolution that they asked for? I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Right, well, I'm not so sure of the building
Okay,
so I'm just gonna,
okay. So let's find out about that, Scott, and I'll let you know tomorrow.
Also, Tommy, on that building that they're putting the extension on, they've already started work on that. I've seen them already putting that extension on. How are they doing that without anything?
What's that?
The one they're putting the gun,
He's
The
he's
Luvera
asking you
properties.
the same question I asked you, and you had an explanation, so Mr. Gibb, Mr. Molinelli.
The ice cream stand?
The firearms guy.
The old glass, the old glass.
The old glass
Right,
place?
right, okay, so
Yeah.
so that property has two approved site plans right now. One for the automotive place and one for the structural building with the ice cream stand and the Mexican restaurant. He could put an addition on that building, but it wouldn't be required for him to go back in front of the planning board to put that addition on the side of the building for additional office space.
He just needs a building permit.
I'm sorry?
He just needs a building permit.
That's correct, because there's no additional impact. He took the office that was inside the building and moved it outside to give him more room inside. So under the current code, it says if no additional impact is to be done, then the planning board's not required. So if he was to move onto that property and just add that additional office onto that space, as long as he meets the current setbacks for the district, which he does, planning board application is not required. The planning board application is for the expansion of the other building, expansion of the other site plan, which only has approval for the ice cream stand and one additional restaurant-type business. They're adding an additional business into
Right.
that building, so that's where the site plan application is required because of the additional impact that that brings to the
but
property.
he still has the addition he's just putting on just as a building permit.
Yeah, the addition's going down with the building permit. He's got all the building permits required.
So the firearms is going in where the restaurant was,
It's going on the most southerly point of that building.
Right.
an addition, or is it it's an addition, or,
No, it's an existing,
okay.
right, because again, that was the fruit stand originally.
Is it going
and
where
it-
the...
Temptation.
The barber shop was?
It's
Where Joe's
correct,
barber
that's-
shop was?
Yeah.
There's been multiple businesses in there that I have
Right.
chased out over the years because it came up the same thing. They just set up shop and I basically advised them that they needed to go for site plan approval. And when that came about, they took their 30, 60 days and then basically closed the business and moved on.
The other question I have for you, Tommy, on a business like that, particular business, there's a certain amount of parking spaces necessary for each business, correct?
That's correct. That was presented to the planning board.
But do they meet them right now with the
They
parking?
have enough. Well,
They have to be lying, I mean, they have to really,
at this point, again,
you're just pulling up into a
it's a
patch
matter
of
of
dirt.
fact that this site plan is actually cleaning the whole property up. Because again, when you have multiple site plans that are in the mid-'80s, early '90s, that, again, site plans are binding to the property and continuation of use continues forever because they're binding to the property.
Right.
Once something additionally comes on, we take today's laws and we basically clean that up. So what happens is that all those spaces would require additional or a certain amount of parking, and that's been presented to the planning board. So if that business requires so many parking based on an office, the restaurant requires so many parking, the ice cream stand requires additional parking, and now the automotive business parking. So that parking plan will now be presented to the planning board for one site plan instead of two that exist.
In your opinion, I mean, how many spaces would 4 businesses have to have in there?
The code,
I'm just have opinion.
no, the code book suggests on how many you have to have. I mean, it's somewhere in the vicinity of 20, give or take.
For 4 businesses.
Pretty much, because again, well, it's spread out, and you gotta realize, the one building itself is on one side, so their parking is gonna be adjacent to the automotive building. And this parking will be adjacent to the other building, so there'll be parking spaces on the ice cream side, and there'll be parking spaces on the additional side
But
where that's
d-
done.
where there's dirt and torn up blacktop and stuff, you can't count those as parking spaces.
Well, they'll create parking, again, parking
They'd have to
spaces-
repave that.
No, parking spaces are created on a piece of paper telling you that you need certain area. It can be done through just putting item 4 down and basically.
Item
doing
4,
it.
but it can't be on grass.
No, it's gotta be item 4. They'll create those parking spots. Now, again, the additional requirements of blacktop and lining, and that's a planning board thing. I mean, it's not, mine, but.
Right.
The planning board's gonna tell them how many spots they need on paper, where they can and cannot park, and those are the requirements that have to be met for the planning board.
I'm just concerned because the in and out of there with the way they pull right up in front of the restaurant.
DOT will take care of that. DOT will now get involved. Ulster County Planning Board will get involved, and so will the New York State DOT will be involved in there. So where there's curbs there now, concrete curbs with curb cuts, DOT might accept it. DOT might ask them to reduce those curb cuts for their reasons. Again, That's outside the planning board's realm. That goes to DOT. DOT will give recommendations on what has to happen on that
So
property.
until that all gets cleaned up, he can't officially put his business in there, can he?
The firearms, no.
No, that's
The
what I'm saying.
automotive, yes, he's got.
No,
site
automotive,
plan
I'm not saying that, I'm
approval.
talking
No,
about,
that, no.
he can do all he wants with,
Put it this way,
put
he
additions.
cannot legally put the business in there.
Right.
Understand that the town of Marlborough, the courts in the town of Marlborough don't have cease and desist powers. I can't go up and put a padlock on something. All I could do is write violation, bring it to our town court could impose a fine, and from there it has to go to the Supreme Court for any kind of cease and desist to lock somebody out. But the guy has been cooperative. I don't see him opening the place prior to any approvals, but just to be aware, it happens all the time. People come into town, they set up without asking me. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. Again, the town's recourse is only fines through our courts. Any type of other cease and desist or locking the place up has to come through the Supreme Court. It cannot come through my office or even through the town's court system.
Okay. What about the sheriff's department, they can't?
No, it has to go through, the town has to pursue Supreme Court jurisdiction
Okay.
to actually do cease and desist on a property, to close it and to lock the doors on somebody.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, moving on. Report of the committees, Recreation Committee. I don't have a report. I could tell you that, the second mic. This Thursday, the 15th, Howard, we
Yes,
have
sir.
the LERP meeting at the cafeteria at the middle school, the elementary school, the old cafeteria. And it's going to be on recreation, and we're trying to get the kids involved from the high school, so it should be a good meeting. So it's at 6:30, Mark, this Thursday, on the 15th. Alan's not here, Emergency Management Preparedness Committee. We're going to meet, the CAC is going to meet again in January. I think we'll button up the solar farms and stuff like that, Tom. So we'll have a legal look at that once we have it all together, and I'll ask the board if we could go to legal. The IT committee, I think all the cameras are set up. Have a recommendation from Gary Lazarus, that we get one more camera for down at the highway department, because he could see, he can't see the south side or the north
You can
side?
see the north side, but he can't see the south side. No, sorry.
No,
opposite.
the opposite, right.
He wants to put one on the new building facing the new gate. North gate.
Yeah,
North
the
gate.
north gate.
That makes sense.
And the chief recommended that we get 2 more cameras for down in the train station to look out forward. So,
I don't think those are pretty cheap, so.
yeah, they're about $100 a piece.
Yeah, I'd make the recommendation in the motion that we get those additional cameras.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. You're welcome. Now we have to put them up.
Baby steps.
I appreciate you and Mr. Brooks doing all that.
Cheap, apparently.
So, Milton Train Station Foundation, I know that, the only thing I know that's happening is that they're going to meet, on a Sunday, I think 2 Sundays out of the month. I don't know the dates. I could find them out for you, Mark, where they're going to open up at 2 o'clock and do a tour down there just to get people interested in the train station. They've been doing this now for a while, and they got a lot of feedback. So, and plus, Tom Schroeder is going to start, he's trying to bring back to life the Historical Society, so they're going to have their meetings down there, which makes sense during the day, so the seniors who want to join that back, they could drive down to the Milton train station. So hopefully that'll work out for Tom. The Milton Landing Citizens Committee, I know we met a couple of times on the new grant down there. We're looking at to replace the South Pier, and we're looking to see about boats landing in there, especially the U.S. Columbia and the Clearwater. So we had some plans, but I guess it didn't work for the Clearwater. So they went back to the drawing board, and I guess they got new plans, so we're going to look at that.
They got different heights, right? That's the,
Yeah, heights and, there's the
how they could come
the
in.
folding, the barges that, the docks you could take down and store them, and floating docks and other things. Marlborough Hamlet Economic Development Committee, Howard, you have any?
Well, at this point, it's kind of hard to distinguish their activities from the LWRP activities. When we did have a meeting with John Behan last week about the trail, the Latin Creek Trail, which we still want to pursue. The most complicated part of that trail is getting the owners of property along the trail to agree to allow an easement through their property. So that is a complicated process, so we probably will need some professional help on that, but we probably need to go after a grant to hire someone like a Behan to help us. So kind of putting that on hold for us a little bit, and focusing on just getting a better graphical representation of the trail and a better description of the trail, a write-up of the trail. So I think John is going to work with Matt Kierstad on that. So still moving forward.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
I know the Hamilton Milton Association Committee had Santa Claus down there last Sunday, so we went down. It was pretty nice. Santa Claus was good. Got some great pictures. Vivian had some great pictures she took and put it on Facebook and stuff like that. Water Committee.
Wrapped her up.
We're good. Or bad.
Or bad.
Or whatever.
And Transfer Station Review Committee, I think we're going to have a resolution
Couple of
tonight to hire somebody to replace Mr. Graziosi.
And we'll get the committee meetings going back up again. We've sort of put them on hiatus for a while, but we'll start up again at the beginning of the year. Or Mr. Walters will make
Does the board have anything you want to add to any of these?
And I want to add, when you're talking about Santa Claus, Marlborough has where they decorate the trucks. That'll be this coming Saturday.
Oh.
They decorate the trucks, and then Santa Claus rides around the town. That's going to be 3 o'clock. It's going to start at the elementary school and end up at the firehouse.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't know that. That's nice.
3 o'clock?
Yep, 3 o'clock.
This Saturday?
Yes. So, yeah.
What's the date?
17th, I want to say. Yep, 17th.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Mike, did you want to come up and talk about, you have a question, or hopefully the board can answer?
Mike's got his exercise today.
Yeah, just to revisit the planning board again. A few years back, the CAC committee was given the responsibility to conduct some interviews and try to streamline the planning process. And I believe Walter Falkenberg drew up a final draft report on that, and I was wondering if that was ever incorporated into the planning process.
It was not. But we're going to look at it as we just discussed to see what we could take and, different ideas that we had with the CAC. I have to go back. We did that like a couple years ago. We reported to the previous board. So
Some of the stuff was as far as when they come to the building department and the paperwork that was involved, how they did it, some of that was involved, was changed. But I think it's definitely a good idea to go back to that and see what was recommended and what's actually being followed, because there is still some issues that we're seeing, again.
Yeah, because anything that would streamline the process and make it more expedient benefits everybody.
Yep. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. Old business, sale of Tomback building. Sold.
I wish.
Nope.
Okay. Municipal parking in hamlets of Marlborough and Milton, I don't know how much more we could do with that. Proposed water agreement with Newburgh, we accomplished that.
Can we remove that?
Are you okay there? You need to take a nap or?
On the parking in the hamlets of Marlborough and Milton, I mean, again, that was a topic of discussion at the last LWRP meeting, with some more suggestions there. So all these ideas are kind of being somewhat addressed in the LWRP. I'm not saying it's the silver bullet, but
I think that was one of the biggest discussion topics when that,
At the public meeting.
At the public meeting.
Parking.
Was parking. You know, where do we put parking? How do we get parking? There was a lot of discussion, what spots, where could it go?
so we'll see what John and Cindy do with that information.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The proposed water agreement with Newburgh, that's a done deal. I don't know what you want to do. I think that the
Strike it off.
30 days are up and we could tap into that money. I need a motion to remove it.
I'll make a motion to remove the water agreement with Newburgh, number C.
Go ahead, Howard.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good job, man.
We're talking about the Milton Sewer expansion, 9W Milton Turnpike intersection. We're hoping that we have a shovel in the ground in the springtime.
Great.
Bayside project,
Have you heard from Asher lately?
I have.
So what's going on?
The Bayside project, Mazer and Mazer is still working on the final EIS, so we're hoping to get that pretty soon. Mr. Sessman's caught up with all his escrow, and he just sent us another check. So it's all on them right now.
So it's the engineering still?
Yeah.
On the FEIS, right?
Yep. And you would assume that would be a pretty big thing because there's all this new stuff with the stormwater management and this and that. And also, my understanding is that the school has asked their engineer to come up with a plan. And matter of fact, I was talking to Mr. Brooks today, and he said a lot of stuff that you recommended was added in that plan, which made sense. But we haven't heard from the applicant, and then I think they're in corresponding with Mazer and Mazer. I hope so.
I hope so. I'll give him a call.
It'd be to their advantage.
I called them yesterday. He said they are.
Yeah.
I talked to Dustin? Justin.
Justin, yep.
Yeah. So they're working together. Hopefully they'll get this accomplished. Design standards for Route 9W corridor. That's, again, with, hopefully we'll have something with the LERP.
Even also, Al, I think the Route 9W corridor study is going to
Yeah,
address
9W
this as
corridor
well.
study.
We,
Without revealing who we chose, I mean, could you talk about that?
well, you all know that we received a grant more than a year ago from Ulster County Planning to do this Route 9W corridor study. And we're finally at the point now where we're working with Ulster County Planning, the New York State Department of Transportation, Ulster County Highway Department, to vet the people that submitted proposals to do this study.
RFP.
So we're in that process. There were a number of very good proposals, really excellent ones, I thought. I'm not an expert in this area, but I thought they were very good. And so Al and I are on that, they call it a technical assessment committee or something like that. Al and I and DOT, the planning department, highway department, and so forth are on this review committee, and we've had a couple of meetings, and we're close to making the decision on selecting the final company consultant to do this study. And in reviewing their proposals, you know, they have some very good ideas about this design standards, things that we just talked about with Tom, road cuts, maybe almost pre-approved or suggested road cuts that the planning board could just open up the map and say, well, you want to develop this piece of property? This is what we suggest as your road cut, and sort of streamline the process in that way. So there are a lot of good things that are being talked about. So hopefully in a month or two we can get going on this. It just takes a lot of time when you work with other agencies. You just have to be patient.
Yeah, we were both very impressed by all the applicants. Very impressed. It was hard to choose one. And also, while we were up there, I had a conversation with Mike Hine, and I mentioned a conference call with Mr. Gerentino, our legislator. And the reason I sent a letter, which the board recommended I do, about the conditions on the turnpike here by Stewart's. And so talking to Mr. Gerentine, we talked about the lights and we talked about a crosswalk. I also talked about sidewalks. And so when we were up at this meeting, the executive said that we'll get the crosswalk and we're going to continue the conversation about the sidewalk. So hopefully by spring we'll have a crosswalk there so people could at least walk across there safely. And thank you to Mr. Gerentine and Executive Michael Hine. And also they did put 2 lights in there. And I don't know if anybody noticed the brightness right here. Yeah, going to Stewart's.
I'll check for that.
Yeah.
They implemented
All
it.
checked tonight. So I want to thank Richard Gerentine, our legislator, and Michael Hine. If you want to talk, I've been lackadaisy about this, so I'm going to start off before the new year. If you want to talk, you have to come up to the microphone, give your name, and ask the question.
Come on.
And it keeps you awake, too, you get up. And,
It's the blood flowing.
I just want to know where the walk was, the sidewalks and the
so,
crosswalk.
as you know where the light is,
I know
right?
where Stewart's is, but they're like 4 corners.
Yeah, you know where the Stewart's is, right?
Yeah.
So people come up and they walk on the sidewalk on the south side, coming up Main Street.
Okay.
And
From
then-
Milton. It's from
Yes,
the town.
from the Hamilton
Okay.
Milton.
That makes sense.
And they come up, and then there's the town hall, so they walk on that. But then after that, they have to walk on the side of the road, and then they cross, they go north. So there was 2 telephone poles there with lighting, which was pretty dim. So hopefully
that's
that's been taken care of, and the lighting has changed, thanks to Central Hudson, and it's also in the district, so the town pays for that. And then there's the walkway that we're talking about, the crosswalk, that will make people allowed to cross safely, hopefully. So those are the 2 conditions. But what we really need is a sidewalk to go up to Stewart's. So in other words, you would be coming on the south side, you go past the town hall, and then there might be some nice sidewalk, and then you cross north over the crosswalk to Stewart's.
Cool. Oh, I'm Dare Thompson.
Oh,
From
you are.
Marlborough. Yeah.
Thank you.
I know, trust me. I know.
So, we talked about the sign law zoning changes is just about there. Because of budget restrictions, we're going to wait till next year to start that, if it's all right with you gentlemen.
Yep.
Yep.
You all right?
I'm okay.
I said gentlemen.
But you looked over there. You're always looking over there.
So, Ed,
That's okay.
the Verizon cell tower on Milton Water Tank, it's almost there. It's almost there. So we almost got it done, but not for this meeting. So hopefully next meeting we'll have that contract and we could take that off. The Milton Train Station Grant Exterior Rehabilitation, haven't heard anything from DASNY. As soon as we do, we'll start that RFP. We have everything ready to rock and roll. And the tow truck law that's on the agenda tonight, that's a resolution. We introduced the tow truck resolution once again because the chief and Ed and Howard met with the tow truck people and they made recommendations. Plus we have recommendations from one of our applicants that's on the tow list. His lawyer sent in a bunch of questions that we answered to the best of our ability. We think it's time to rock and roll and finish this tow code. So that's why it's on the agenda tonight, again. Pat Hines working on the On new business, Pat Hines working on the MS4 report. Correspondence. So, Charlie, you got this from Ulster County Department of Health on 11/21/16. This office conducted a sanitary survey inspection of the Marlborough Water District. At the time of the sanitary survey, the system was found to be in substantial compliance with the 10 NYCRR, New York State Sanitary Code, Subpart 5.1 Public Water System. So thank you, Charlie. Got okay on that? Got the standard letter to be the camp director again from Kim Pomeroy and yeah, Linda Morales. So I got that. That's it.
Public comment.
Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome.
Public comment? Mark, you want to come up to the microphone, please?
Mark Reynolds, Southern Ulster Times. I have a question on, a couple of questions. The issue of the rec building that was talked about through the Bayside money, where's that at? Any further
That's
discussion?
still in discussion. I don't know if anybody else would like to talk about it.
Not until we see the FEIS
Right.
and move forward a little further, but
Yeah.
we haven't really talked anymore
No.
about it.
No.
And Al, you talked a little bit about there was some further discussions about Bayside with the school. Can you elaborate on what that's about?
I think the school has come out with a plan. They like to present it to the applicant in Bayside. I think the plan hasn't been finalized. It's close. And what it entails is two directions where cars are dropping off their kids and buses are dropping off. So this way you separate them and there's a safety reason for that.
Right.
So I don't know, that's strictly between between the school
okay.
and the applicant.
Right, right.
Yeah, they're trying, just the overall, right, Al, is
Yeah.
that they're trying to resolve the overall flow and parking at the elementary school. And while this project's gonna be right next door,
You mean the middle school?
the middle school, sorry,
Yeah,
middle
yeah.
school. While the project is right next door,
Too many
we're
schools.
trying to have them work together with the school district to try to alleviate some of the problems with the flow and the parking there. And the applicant's been willing to say, yes, I will build extra parking for you and help with your flow
Okay.
through the process.
The other last question I had to do with the, do you have any update on the anchorage issue that's facing Milton and Marlborough?
No, I know they're gonna have public hearings starting next year,
Right.
but somebody called me up today and said that there was a boat that was anchored right across from the Marlborough Yacht Club that was pretty big. And did I know about it? I said, no, I didn't know about it. And they said it was pretty huge, and it actually turned in the Hudson and
Dropped anchor.
anchored there. I don't know if it's still there, or just did it for a flow reason, or the Coast Guard did, just testing the waters, so to speak, to see if anybody would complain. But that's the only thing I've heard. But they're going to have public hearings on that.
Right, right.
And I read a lot of things about the Coast Guard coming out with their explanation of why they're doing it. It's not because of this and that, and about, because of the oil prices and storing oil and stuff like that. It's a
Right,
safety reason. But so they're going to have the public hearing, and then we'll go in there and tell them, we really don't want to have this.
Right. Okay.
We read your article, I think, Mark, in the local paper, right, regarding that meeting with Mr.
Right,
Kelly?
he was the pro, he was from the Maritime Association.
Right.
He laid out the pros of his organization,
Was the sentiment in the room pro or con?
very much against. You know, and
And these were mostly
Different yacht
pleasure
clubs.
boaters?
Yacht
Yacht
clubs.
clubs, yeah.
from up and down the Hudson, some was Westchester, up and some further north.
Yeah,
You know,
I
came.
think you're gonna have very little support
I
up
would-
and down the Hudson.
I would
for
hope,
this thing.
I would think so, too.
I think you're gonna get too much support at all.
I just wondered if you guys have gotten any additional
No, we just know that
information from the Coast Guard or
dates have
anything?
been, for the public hearings are coming up in the 2017.
Yeah, springtime, I have a feeling. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah, that was a good report, good article, Mark. I appreciate it.
Any other public comment? You gotta come up to the microphone, Ralph.
You can take your hat off if you want.
Come on up.
Couple of things.
Yes.
A couple months ago, I asked about the audit for 2015. Has that been completed yet?
No, they're waiting for some documentation
And
from
has
Chris.
the AUD document been filed for 2015 with the state controller yet?
I don't think so, but I would have to ask Chris.
Right. The other is, I've brought it up several times, about a parking condition between the last parking spot on the north side of Western Avenue and 9W. There's a sign there that says no parking from here to corner. The same one car has been there almost every day, and the other day there was a second car now parked there. Can that be enforced and start ticketing those cars because it's a no parking zone? If I park there, I'm going to get a ticket.
There's no longer any hash marks there, right?
That's right, you forgot to put the hash lines
So
in.
we might,
Didn't forget.
we didn't
That's the
forget.
county.
Right.
I don't care who forgot to put them in, but either put them in or enforce the sign that says no parking here to corner.
Maybe we need to have no parking written on the surface.
I don't think you have to have no parking, right? I think you know it's no
A lot of
parking.
places here to corner,
And the guy that knows it's been spoken to a million times, and he's willing to take the tickets.
So, start giving a ticket every day.
Can we put something
Right on
there?
top.
Can we ask to have something put there? I mean, I don't know what you would put there.
Frank,
I mean, I don't wanna see cones right there, they look horrible, but
no, the cops don't get
can you put like those cement things or something like that? I don't know.
You back up your tires,
It has to
Sergeant?
be enforced.
I don't know what you can do.
We got the complaint, so,
Write it away.
thanks, Ralph.
You reach out again? Sure. Thank you.
So, shall we go to resolutions and we can get out pretty early, huh? Go see that great game. So, Resolution 120. So this is to introduce a local law of the year 2017, amending certain provisions of Chapter 152, wireless telecommunication facilities of the Marlborough Town Code to address small cell and DAS facilities. Mr. Corcoran has looked at this. We came up with some numbers as far as height. And so we're going to introduce this law with different changes. Distributed antenna system, I guess it's called, Tom?
Yep.
And so that would be it. And I'd like to just notice a public hearing. Take notice that the Town Board of the Town of Marlborough will hold a public hearing at the Town Hall, 21 Milton Turnpike, Milton, New York, on January 23rd, 2017. It's kind of funny to say that. A year passed by already, Ed. Oh, my God. 7 o'clock p.m. on local law. We don't know what the number is because the tow law might beat it out, hopefully, on the proposed local law of the Town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending certain provisions of Chapter 152, wireless telecommunication facilities of the Marlborough Town Code to adjust small cell and DAS facilities. So take further notice that copies of the aforesaid proposal local law will be available for examination at the office of the clerk of the Town of Marlborough at the Town Hall, 21 Milton Turnpike, Milton, New York, between the hours of 8 and 4 p.m. on all business days between the date of this notice and the date of the public hearing. Take further notice that all persons interested in the citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard on said proposal at the time and place afterwards. So, Colleen will advertise for this one.
Yes,
Thank you.
no problem.
Could you please roll? Take the roll.
Supervisor Lanzetta,
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli.
Yes.
Councilman Corcoran.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I would like to table Resolution 121 because we didn't get the paperwork from the school.
Alexis next.
So I need a motion to table 121.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Resolution 122 to introduce a local law of the year 2017, Chapter 140, tow trucks. We had a public hearing, like I said, about this, and we talked to, Ed and Howard talked to the tow people that actually have the license, and they come up with some recommendations, and so we're addressing those recommendations in this new resolution, plus the concerns of a gentleman that had a lawyer there. And we know who that is. Pretty happy with the law so far, though. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yes.
I think it's fair.
I do.
And,
It's pretty good.
and then we'll have a resolution for the fees.
Well, that'll be part of the reorg.
So I just read the public hearing notice. Take notice that the Town Board of Town of Marlborough will hold a public hearing at the Town Hall, 21 Milton Turnpike, Milton, New York, on January 9th, 2017, at 7 o'clock p.m. Prevailing time on proposed local law, hopefully it'll be number 1 of the year 2017, a local law of the Town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, to amend Chapter 140 of tow trucks. Take further notice that the copies of the aforesaid proposal local law will be available for examination at the office of the clerk of the Town of Marlborough at the aforesaid Town Hall between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. on all business days between the date of this notice and the date of the public hearing. Take further notice that all persons interested in this and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard on said proposal at the time and place after said.
One question, I don't know if you got, I don't know if I'm reading this wrong, but, so in 104.4, the criteria where where we're now including, storage areas of 1/4 of a mile outside the town of Marlborough, right? But then in 140/10, it says list of rotational lists shall be kept, only permitted towing companies located within the town of Marlborough will be included in this list.
I assume that meant.
Should
within
it
that
say
quarter.
something in accordance with the people that may not be within the town of
Wasn't
Marlborough?
the one the storage and the other one was,
I don't know if I'm reading it wrong or,
No, you're reading it right. I had the same question. I mean, it's, one time we say Town of Marlborough, at 1/4 of a mile outside the Town of Marlborough, but here it says Town of
and I don't
Marlborough.
know how to word that in a way that
I
states
think
that.
that's supposed to be with the assumption that it's a quarter, within that 1/4 mile. It could be a 1/4 mile outside the Town of Marlborough.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
would
they're assuming that,
I would assume that, but it's not, it's a little ambiguous.
Is that something we,
She probably should have put the same language, the 1/4 mile,
Yeah.
as in the previous section.
I only caught that today when I was double
I didn't
proofreading.
catch that.
can we amend?
I was gonna say, can we amend it to say something like,
Well, we could, that could be,
We can
that
amend
could
it
be our
right
public
now.
comment.
permitted tow companies?
think we can.
Well,
Will
only
be
permitted
included on
towing
these lists?
companies, only permitted towing companies as stated in 140-40 criteria, right?
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
I would just say only permitted tow companies will be included on this
Yeah,
list.
or just only-
Permitted
yeah.
are the people that actually got permits to be on our list.
Just class
So
out within the town of Marlborough.
So we're changing,
Take out located.
Uh,
located,
144?
Town of Marlborough, take out.
we're talking about 140-4?
No, 140-10,
140-10.
just put only permitted towing companies will be included in these lists. Take out located within the town of Marlborough.
Yeah.
Just take out that section.
Why did we add the 1/4 mile?
Federal law says you can't restrict,
Is that the lawyer brought that up?
yeah.
I assume probably.
Federal law says you can't exclude tow companies from outside of the town from being considered on the list. However, there's case law that says that if you put in a distance, that that's acceptable by
The
whatever
quarter,
court handles that.
And in
the
our,
1/4 of a mile covers the other half of his property.
exactly.
So I'll make a motion to amend 140-10 permit list general procedures in section A to cross out located within the town of Marlborough,
Right.
and to read only permitted towing companies will be included in these lists.
Okay?
Need a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
That's the only thing I can see that was.
Good eyes. Good eye.
I mean, there are some other small minor things that other people could comment on. They're not showstoppers by any means, so.
So when we have the,
Mr. Garofalo can make
yeah,
those
when
suggestions.
we have the public meeting, we could, we'll distribute it with the new change, the amendment. Resolution 123 to
No, we have to
appoint-
vote
We
on
have to vote on
that.
this one.
Yeah, we didn't vote on
We
it.
have to vote on that. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
Supervisor Lanzetta,
With the amendments, sorry. Yes,
Councilman Malinelli.
Yeah, on the one thing, can we make sure that we actually get the tow truck drivers this out to them before?
well, we passed it
got it?
off.
The
Yeah,
second one?
yeah,
Just give them the amendment that we just made?
Brought them this, a letter that was drafted by us,
right.
the fee schedule that we're considering, and the lawyer's comments was all delivered to packages each
Okay.
by me last Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, Thursday.
All right, then just make sure they get that amendment too.
The only thing I told them all is yes, and I will call them, tell them about the public hearing because they didn't know the date at the time.
That's what I was talking
So
about, make sure they know.
I will share the public hearing date with them tomorrow morning
Okay.
via phone call from me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Baker,
Yes.
Councilman Corcoran.
Yes.
Thanks for that finder, Scott.
Yep.
Good work.
And the fees that are gonna be recommended, are they gonna be in the reorg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once we pass the
You
law,
pass
the law's passed, then
Then
we
they
can do it. Yeah, we're not gonna do it on the January 9th meeting. We're gonna have to redo
Redo
them.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
as soon as we go past the public hearing
Right.
and we adopt the law.
It'll be the end of,
Then we do that the next meeting. We do a resolution to change the code, to fees. So, Resolution 123 to appoint part-time transfer station attendant. Supervisor Lanzetta proposes the following, whereas the town of Marlborough has advertised for applicants for the job of transfer station attendant at the landfill, transfer station at Bailey's Gap, and whereas 3 candidates for the position responded and were duly interviewed. I may say Alan and Howard did a great job. Be it resolved that Larry Furman is appointed at the part-time transfer station attendant effective immediately. Would you like to say anything about that, Howard?
3 candidates.
We had 3 very good candidates, and it was, hard decision, but Mr. Furman was the winner because he has worked with us in the past and helped us with making several recommendations as part of the Transfer Station Committee review a year or so ago. So he knows all the issues, and we'll
Yeah,
have
he's always there, so he
He's
might as well
always
get
there.
paid.
So now we're going to pay him. Anyway,
Question.
all 3 candidates could have done the job.
Question for you.
famously. Yep.
I mean, with the situation like we had with the traffic officer and that stuff, what's, one of these other applicants, would we use them as a backup?
Yeah, I think we didn't discuss it with them, but I think
We have
if
to
some,
rule their
for some reason, this doesn't work
Well,
out,
no, I'm not talking about that, I'm saying, for instance, if we have an illness or
Yes.
someone's out for a period of time.
I think it's
I
a
would
good
like to
idea.
just to ask them if they would be interested in that type of spot when we
I
tell
think
them.
they would be, but we can follow up with that.
Thank you.
Yep. The thing we have to talk about at some point is the actual wage.
Yes.
So I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Chris wasn't in today, so I couldn't ask her.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as soon as we get that, then we'll get back to Mr. Furman and the other candidates and go from there. Okay.
It's probably 1488.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah. I think it's,
The same as the traffic.
Traffic officer is 1488.
I
don't
thought
know
it was
what we started
1444.
at. Yeah, we'll have to talk to Chris.
That was the
I
advertised.
think you're correct.
We didn't advertise an amount.
Colleen?
We didn't advertise an amount.
1488 with the 2.
What did we advertise for the,
We
well,
didn't put an amount in the paper, I guess we're just gonna let.
There was no,
I think there was.
wasn't there?
Can't hear you.
But anyway,
Okay.
we'll figure that out, but,
Okay.
All right, Councilman Corcoran,
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli,
Yes.
Councilman Baker,
yes.
Supervisor Lanzetta.
Yes.
And what I'll do, Eddie, when I talk, I'll call each person and tell them what we're up to, and
Could you formulate a letter and put it on letterhead and just send it to them?
Sure.
Thank you,
Sure. Yep.
Howard Baker now.
Yep, we'll do that.
And here we go, I think, Resolution 124 to replace an electrical pole at the transfer station. Supervisor Lanzetta proposes the following, whereas an electric pole at the town of Marlborough landfill transfer station was in need of replacement, and whereas the town of Marlborough, in compliance with town code procurement policy, received 3 written quotes to replace the said electric pole, be resolved that the town of Marlborough will hire Dave Pullian at $2,400 to replace the electric pole, with Central Hudson completing the necessary hookup to the grid at no additional cost to the town.
And again, this was necessitated because of outages we've had up at the transfer station, and Central Hudson's told us you gotta fix that pole. It's been like that for a long time, I guess.
Long time.
But-
I can't even see how it's still standing.
I was gonna say, I don't even know
I
how
was
to
trying to get the
understand.
poll numbers and I was like,
It-
magic.
It's splintered, yeah.
Now we can put a camera on it. Thank you for doing that, Howard.
Councilman Corcoran,
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yep.
Supervisor Lanzetta.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, before we adjourn, we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah. It happens to fall.
And also, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
New Year, happy
Yeah.
Kwanzaa, happy
You know,
everything.
Happy.
Just briefly, 2016, I think we had a good year, this board. We worked together great. We accomplished a lot of good things. And our employees were outstanding. They did a great job. So our chief and his police department, excellent job. I want to thank you, chief, from the board and myself. The highway department, excellent job. People complain, but, God bless you guys. It's great to have you because, our roads, with our highway department, our roads are clean. We could go to work. And with the chief and his police officers, we're safe. And excellent job. And Charlie Maggio and his water department did a great job this year. I want to thank you, Charlie, from the board and myself. Excellent job. And 2017, here it comes. So we welcome it, and we have a lot of challenges, but we'll address them. I think, talking with like Alan Koenig and about the Milton Landing and things that happened in Milton, and Scott and Howard and Ed about Marlborough and Milton, I think, we're moving forward. So thank you very much to everybody, and don't forget the Christmas party, right, Scott, on the 20th?
20th at 1.
At the Falcon. So enjoy and stay safe. Have a great holiday. Thank you. And wait a minute. Sorry, Tom. You know what the thing. Wait a minute. I'm
not coming to these meetings.
wait a minute. I'm gonna move you to the top of the thing. No, and I'm sorry. The planning board, but Tom, we see each other every day, and we work together very well, and we do a lot of things together. So you help me out a lot. You educate me. So I'm sorry I just left you out, and Colleen, we had lunch the other day. Sorry about that. Did I leave anybody else out? Really? Come on, guys, help me out here.
Everybody's here.
And once again, Tom, I'm sorry, but thank you for all your help. You and your department. I had lunch with Penny and Jennifer today, and just to explain what a great job they're doing. And we're very happy with Penny and Jennifer. And Colleen, you and Danielle do an excellent job, so thank you very much, and have a happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
It's appropriate, too, that, like, the 4 people here,
I missed them all.
but they always do more than just their job.
Yeah.
That's the thing about a lot of our employees, but these guys in particular, I've never asked any of them for something and they've said no, besides their normal job. They always do other things besides their other job. If it's asking Charlie to, come over and help dig out this ditch, whatever it might be, this guy, whatever I ask him to do, with ripping walls down, putting trees up, putting cameras up, right? Tommy's always helping doing the park, getting estimates. Colleen's office is always doing, our employees, I think, get underappreciated, and I think they really, really do a fabulous job
They do a fabulous
throughout the
job.
town, and I think our town should be
Let's mention the
very
highway
happy.
department.
Highway
They always
department.
do a good job. They do
You know,
what we ask.
They do a lot of extra things than what their normal job duties call for, so people should be recognized for that, and they do a good job. And I just want to also give Al kudos. It's his first year back.
Thanks.
And, you know, it's a tough situation coming back on a established board, and he worked very well with all of us. We don't agree on everything, as you've seen through the years, but when it all came down to it, he got a lot of stuff done, and we moved forward on a lot of stuff, and just want to thank him for a good year, and congratulations, and another year ahead of us. So it'll be a lot more work. It's all good, right? Good board. We got a great board here. So.
Yeah, we do.
Al, one thing I want to do is, the one thing you made me happy for this year, it's a Christmas present to me that you're getting all these people to actually hand in their reports.
That's
And
right.
that takes a lot of work, I know.
Forever.
And I appreciate that because it's very important to me.
And people coming up to the podium tonight.
Yes, and tonight we're going to the podium. There's no limits to what we can do.
That's it, we're getting there. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Amendment, we have to adjourn?
We have
I make a motion to adjourn the last meeting of the year.
See you next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.